So if you're self-publishing a book, you've probably considered whether you should use IngramSpark. And if you've done any research at all, I bet you've gotten about 100 conflicting answers. Some people swear by Ingram, some people say it's just a confusing headache. And a whole lot of the advice out there is from somebody who's like just trying to sell you courses or get you to follow their channel or social media or whatever. So in this video, I'm going to give you the honest version. And here's why I think I can help. I publish my own books and books from my publishing company through IngramSpark. So I've sat in the author's and publisher's seat and set all of this up myself. But I also run a bookstore, Spineless Reads, and we order books through Ingram all the time. So I've seen this thing from both sides of the counter. I know what it looks like as the author putting a book into the system, and I know what it looks like as the bookseller deciding whether to actually stock the title. And that second part is what actually matters. So let's figure out together whether IngramSpark is right for you. Okay, first, let's just clear up what IngramSpark is in plain language. So Ingram has two things bundled together. It's a print-on-demand service and it's a distribution service. Print-on-demand just means exactly what it sounds like. You're not printing thousands of books and stacking them in your garage and praying that you'll sell them. Instead, when someone orders your book, it gets printed right then, one copy, and it's shipped out. You're not holding inventory, you're not fronting a pile of cash for a print run, and the book gets made when someone wants it. But the distribution part is the piece that really matters. And here's the key thing I want you to understand. Ingram is the catalog that bookstores and libraries use to order. As a bookstore owner, when I want to bring in a title, I look for it in Ingram's system first. It's called iPage. So getting your book into Ingram is basically how a physical bookstore is able to find you and order you and put you on the shelf. Now you might already be thinking, well, wait, what about Amazon like KDP? I've heard of that one. And yes, KDP is another big print-on-demand option in this industry. And we'll compare them in just a moment. But here's the gist. KDP gets you into Amazon. Ingram gets you everywhere else, including physical bookstores. They're solving two very different problems. So here's where having a bookstore changes everything about how I see IngramSpark. Because when you set your book up in there, you make a couple of choices that feel small and technical. But from where I'm standing behind the counter, they're the whole ballgame. The first one is your wholesale discount. When you put a book into IngramSpark, you get to set the discount that you're offering to a retailer like me. That's the chunk of the cover price a bookstore gets to keep when they buy your book to resell it. And you can set that as low or as high as you want. You can get generous or not. Usually, it's somewhere in the range of 40 to 55%. Now, here's what that looks like from my side. If you remember my video about bookstore profits, you know that a store survives on margin, which is the gap between what we pay for a book and what we sell it for. So if you've set your discount really low, that means there's almost no margin in your book for me. And if there's no margin in it, a lot of bookstores are just not going to buy it. They're going to pass on it. Not because your book's bad, just because we literally can't afford to give shelf space to something that makes no money. The second setting is returnability. IngramSpark lets you mark your book as returnable or non-returnable. And this one's huge. When a book is non-returnable, it means if I order it and it doesn't sell, I'm stuck with it. I eat the cost. So a lot of stores, mine included, hesitate to bring in a non-returnable title from an author we don't know yet because it's pure risk. When a book is returnable, it's a much, much easier yes. If it doesn't sell, I can send it back. That takes the risk off my plate. It makes me way more willing to give your book a shot. Now, while I haven't returned a book since we opened a year ago, I have the option, and that option is non-negotiable. So when authors come to me frustrated, asking why most bookstores won't stock their book, it's very often these two settings, either the discount or the returnability isn't set right. You can have a genuinely great book, a beautiful cover, professional editors, the whole deal, and still make it nearly impossible for a store to carry you, just because of how you set it up in their system. And authors don't normally have these direct, detailed conversations with bookstores, so the problem just goes unaddressed. Most of the time, authors don't even know there is a problem. Stores tell you, just get it in Ingram, like that's the finish line. But getting into Ingram isn't the same as being easy to say yes to in Ingram. Those are two very different things. Okay, so let's do the comparison you probably came here for. What's the difference between IngramSpark and Amazon's KDP? Now, KDP is the easiest path onto Amazon. It's pretty simple to use, it's very strong for ebooks, and it's really strong for Amazon print sales. And honestly, if Amazon is where your readers are, KDP does that job very well. But its reach into physical bookstores and libraries is almost non-existent. It's part of the Amazon machine, first and foremost. Whereas IngramSpark is the path to everything else. Bookstores, libraries, broader distribution, all of that is Ingram. It's a lot steeper learning curve than KDP has. There's more you have to understand, like those discount and returnability settings we just talked about. And historically, there have been some fees involved with setting up things or revising titles in IngramSpark's back end. And so you have to kind of like keep up with that pricing for yourself and then commit, because that stuff will change. But here's what I think trips a lot of people up. It's usually not an either or decision. A ton of indie authors use both. You can put your books in KDP for their Amazon sales, and you can put them in IngramSpark for wider distribution. You can get into bookstores and libraries and everywhere that Amazon won't reach. The two platforms do a very different job, and a lot of authors just use the right tool for each channel. So if you've been agonizing over like, which one do I pick? You just might not have to pick. You can choose to use both, like many of us do. You might just need to understand that each one is for a very specific purpose. So let's actually answer the question that's in the title. Should you use IngramSpark? Here's how I'd think about it. IngramSpark is probably for you if A, you want your physical book in stores and libraries, and that's the whole reason it exists. Nothing else will do that job as well as IngramSpark. B, you're willing to set it up correctly, meaning you'll honor a regular discount and you'll make your books returnable so that stores can actually say yes to your book. If you're going to do this, do it in a way that makes you stockable. And C, you want distribution beyond Amazon. You don't want all your eggs in Amazon's basket. And you're treating this like a real publishing effort, not just a one and done. IngramSpark will reward people who are in it for the long haul. Now the flip side. IngramSpark maybe isn't for you, at least not yet, if A, you genuinely only care about Amazon sales. If that's you, KDP by itself might be all you need. And you can keep things very simple just by going with Amazon. B, you're not ready to navigate the setup in Ingram. There's no shame in that. You can start simple, get comfortable, add IngramSpark later when you're ready to expand. And C, and this is a big one, if you're not going to set up in a bookstore friendly way, getting into Ingram isn't actually going to get you onto shelves. Being in the catalog with a low discount and non-returnable status is kind of like having a phone number no one's ever going to call. You're technically listed, but you've made yourself impossible to do business with. Now let me get personal for a second, because I've actually done this with my own books. When I first set up through IngramSpark, the thing that surprised me most was just how much those behind-the-scenes settings mattered. As an author, you're so focused on the cover and the story and the formatting, all the stuff you can see, all the stuff that's part of the book, that it's easy to breeze past all the discount and return choices like they're just boring admin settings. And honestly, those boring admin setting decisions are the ones that determined whether a store like mine can ever carry you. I didn't fully appreciate that until I had a conversation with a bookseller, and I was sitting on the other side as a bookseller, watching it from the bookstore. So if I could go back and tell myself one thing before I first used IngramSpark, it'd be to set up your book in a way that a bookseller would want to buy it. Think about the person on the other end of the order, not just how much profit you're giving up. Would you rather have the $3 sale, or would you rather not have your book chosen by a bookstore? That one shift in mindset would have saved me a lot of like figuring it out the hard way. And of course I had to have a conversation with a bookseller like I'm having with you right now. So, should you publish your book in IngramSpark? If you want reach beyond Amazon, you want to get into bookstores and libraries, and you're willing to set it up so that stores can actually carry your book, then yeah, it's one of the best tools you've got. It is the door into a world of physical book selling, and there's not really a better option right now. Just go in with a realistic perspective about the settings that make or break whether a store will stock you. Fair discount, returnable books. Treat it like you're trying to be easy to say yes to, because being in the catalog is step one, but being stockable is the step that actually counts. If you want to understand more about why those discount and returnability settings matter so much to a store, why we care about margins and risk the way we do, I broke all of that down in my video about the truth behind bookstore profits, which is linked up here, like somewhere. And if you're self-publishing right now, I want to hear about it. Like, what's your biggest question about distribution or printing or any of it? Where are you stuck? Like, drop it in the comments. I read literally every single one, and I usually get back to them pretty quickly. And they genuinely help me figure out what you guys want to learn about next. I'm doing my best to build a whole series of honest behind-the-scenes videos for people that are serious about books and the business of books, both writing and selling, publishing, the whole deal. So I'm Lucas. I'm the owner of Spineless Reads Fiction Bookstore here in Williamsburg, Virginia. And if this video helped you, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.